Hi, I'm Marty Brodeur. This is the first time All Stars. One time. First time, one time. Pete's there coaching me back here.
Tell Pete to leave you alone. I'm Martin Brodeur. This is One Time All Star.
Hey, I'm Marty Brodeur. And what else?
This is one
Uh, hey, I'm Marty Brodeur. This is first time All Star.
one time.
One time.
I just
All
gotta
right,
keep
I'm
it.
done.
I'm telling
I
you.
can't do it.
Let's just keep it.
Tell the listener I'm French, so I get away with all that stuff.
That's French for one time. What's up, Marty?
How are you?
Good to see you. Where you at? You at the rink?
Yeah,
The hell of an office, Marty. Look at that. You
the,
deserve
the beautiful view of Newark right
it.
here.
Yeah.
This time of year, too, you can't beat it, man. Well, we appreciate you jumping on with us. It's awesome to get you and hopefully grab you here for a little bit. I know you're pretty busy right now. I want to ask you about Canada's goaltending because for me, growing up, it was Patty Waugh, you, Luongo, Fleury, Price, like just a murderer's row of goaltending, and that's what I think made you guys so good. And now it seems Canada's really having a hard time finding that next guy. What do you think has been happening in Canada when it comes to producing goaltenders?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like a lot of people ask me that question, and it's kind of hard to understand a little bit because we were somewhat so dominant for years. You know, you just look at the stats of some of the French Canadian goalies only with, Patty Roy and myself, Longo Fleury. You know, we're on top of the list, and now we're kind of scraping to see like who's going to be the next guy. I feel we have a lot of talent, but I don't think we don't have any like top end goalies. All the top goalies in the NHL right now are Russian goalies. But to your question, I just don't know. You know, I think there's phases. I guess in hockey, there's eras that right now goaltending, and like I've been asked a lot of that question. We don't even have a French Canadian hockey player that plays for Canada this year in Team Canada, and that's the first time ever.
Whoa.
And it's like what's going on? Like, how come we can't have a superstar that's French Canadian? And so it's a big debate in Canada. Obviously for the people from where I'm from, like how come we don't have them anymore? The reason I don't know. I wish I could have the answer because we had a lot more people being dominant.
Marty, how much does the league or does Canada miss Francois and Benny Allaire? Like, you guys,
Oh,
did you
I
work
don't. I
with
know
them?
for sure. You never
Yeah.
coached me, so
Right. So he didn't coach you. That's interesting. But like they were the goalie whisperers, and I don't know if maybe I'm just some
no, I
dumb
understand.
English pig with no brain who's down here thinking like, oh, they're French, and I see these French guys they work with, and I've seen them work with Hank. I've seen them, these guys that they revered, those goalie coaches out of.
No, no, I understand what you're saying. I was just joking there. Uh, but it's funny. It's just I think the development of our goalies is not has been as good as in the past. Probably. I don't know if it's because of the effect of a lot of coaches are going to go in Europe and find the techniques because now the Swedish guys are good. Now the Russian guys are good. And but again, I think there's enough talent and there's enough will in Canada to be better than what we are now. And it's going to happen. I think it's going to reverse its course at one point. But right now, I think we're kind of in the low part of the talent pool. But not saying that they're not good. They're still good goalies. It's just I think that they're not. And again, the system of two goalies everywhere, it's kind of hard to kind of put yourself and say, hey, I'm the good goalie. Like now it's like 50-50. So even though you're be a good goalie, well, they're going to protect you because God forbid he played with back-to-back games. Like that's to me, like it doesn't make any sense. If Scott Stevens could play 82 games, I'm pretty sure I could play 82 games too. My job's a lot easier.
Well, I wanted to get into that too because like I played against you a fair amount toward like second half of your career. I got in 07, '08. I came in and then, obviously I grew up playing with Schneider and two totally different styles. But, you look at a guy like Glenn Hall who played, what was it, 500 in a row? And then I watched you and you played every friggin' game with 76, 78. Like it was incredible. You played a different way though. You were cerebral when you played the game, which I thought was kind of awesome how you read it. Even talking with Schneid's, I know Schneid's, you learned the position from Brian DeCourt a little bit. You had your goalie coaches, but talking to you in the game, you were cerebral in the game. Now I think they're turning into robots. And I mean, I might be wrong because again, I'm a forward but I always admired how you did, Hank did, you guys played so much more. And then we're seeing that other side of it. I can't imagine you like seeing it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's obviously mind-boggling a little bit to kind of look at what's going on. Because you figure if you're going to play hockey, like you try to make your life easier. I think the style that guys are playing, they're blocking shots more than making saves themselves, and that just kind of creates more problem. So instead of controlling your rebounds, you just want to block it, and but you have to make it one or two saves more. But hockey has changed so much since I played. Like the time spent in a zone, like on the power play, or even 5-on-5 now, when they start like running around with the puck. I mean, you're talking about like some minute and a half. Like for us, like they were in and out. You made your save, you control your rebound. Somebody hit somebody, the puck was out of the zone. Now that doesn't happen anymore. Like so the position is definitely a lot more difficult as far as physically to be able to play that many games. But I don't think to the extreme of how they're protecting their goalies right now. And you see it with Vasilevsky. There's still goalies that play a big amount of games and be able to play back to back once in a while. But it's kind of gone away a little bit. The system of two goalies is more prominent in the NHL than it hasn't been before.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on what I was going to ask you, Marty, just the state of goaltending today. And obviously the systems, as you mentioned, the style of play is very different than for when you or even when I played, 10 years ago. Yeah, I want to run something by you here because you mentioned it, Brian. Playing a lot of games to me, when you're a goalie, it's you're a computer and you're absorbing information. The more you play, the more you see, you put it in your database, and then that I think allows you to read the game better because you've seen it 1,000 times, not 100 times, and you have a better idea what's going to happen. So I feel like, Marty, that in the 2010s, you left the game. We lost Lundqvist. Not they're still alive, obviously, but like a whole swath of goalies who took 15 to 20 jobs for like a 10 or 20-year period all left the game right around COVID. Bishop, Quickie stopped playing, starting Price, or you go down the list, and I feel like there was a bit of a vacuum where there were a lot of goalies who came in the league who hadn't played. They just didn't have the experience, and I think you're seeing a bit of that because to your point, I think there's only a handful of guys who are system proof where you can throw them in any system and they're still going to be pretty good. I think nowadays goalies feel so dependent on what's happening in front of them, which makes sense, but it's a long way of asking. Do you think it's more of the lack of goalie development and training and experience, or is it more just the way the game's played these days that it's just that hard to be a goalie nowadays?
Well, I think it's a bit the way the game is played. I think development, I mean, goalies are taken care of more than when I played. Like my goalie coach was just talk to me mentally. That's it, Marty. Are you okay? Do you need a day off? That was my goaltending coach that I had now. I mean, it's crazy. Obviously I work in with New Jersey, and I deal with my goalie coaches. I got goalie development guys. I got goalie scouts. I mean, that position is taken care of more than anything in the world because it's so important. And it's hard to go on free agency and buy goalies. You got to grow them within your system. So I don't think that development part is a problem. I think it's just a matter of the way the game is played. It's a really hard game. The skill of the players, the lack of physicality in front of you, I think makes these players way more dangerous when they get in wide open ice to be able to pick a corner. Back then, it took a second, and if they didn't get the shot off, they were on their butts. Now it's not the case anymore. But it's become a hard position, and you look at the shot clock right now, like everybody judge, the safe percentage and stuff like that. But now, because I don't know if it is because of gambling, they want to make sure they got the shots right. But as a goalie, when I left the first period and I got 11 saves, no goals, I felt good about myself. Now you get four shots and you're like, shit, I didn't get much work, and it's like a mental thing when you look at the shot clock. It makes you feel good. And I'm sure all the goalies are looking at their shot clock, especially this year's been unbelievable. How they restricted the shots on net. It's like almost they have a laser. I don't know how they do it to really know if it was a shot on net or not. And you have goals now that don't even count for a shot if it's an own goal. Like I just really don't think I just don't understand the way it goes for those goalies. They have to deal with that, and the expectations too. Like you get those goals expected goals against, and all these stats like go the goalie's brain, and it's got to be. I thank God I didn't have that because I don't think I had the mental fortitude to play with all these things.
They don't shoot anymore. And then every intermission they're taking shots off the shot clock. So now we're on TV trying to say, oh, the shots were 14-7, and the shots were 12-5, and I'm like, where did those go? I watched it. How's that not a shot? It's the gambling. I don't
I'm not
love it
sure if
either.
that's what it is, but it sure looks like it.
Well,
Oh,
real quick, Brian, just jump in real quick. Marty, I mean, I'd heard stories when I got there that Lou liked to artificially keep the
yeah,
shot clock down to like make it to
hits,
the opponent.
shots.
Yeah, was
Yeah,
that
oh
true?
yeah.
Or did because I know kind of like
I
even when I got there, I
listen.
was like, where are all the shots?
I mean,
You've
I
known them for
love
20
playing.
years.
I love to play at MSG because I know I was going to get at least like 35 shots a game, regardless.
Hits for me, dude. Hits for me. That got me. That got me deals.
It's like the
MSG.
Islanders, like Clutterbuck, all these hits.
Oh, that was the best. Now I have to ask before I forget, scorpion save on Gabrick. I mean, come on, man. You're too old to be flinging your leg up in the air like that, breaking my heart.
Well, that's what happens when you miss your first poke check. You got to figure out a
Oh,
way to stop it.
it was just, it's so incredible the creativity you had again. And I kind of rip on Schneid's and I give goalies a hard time. You just stand in one spot the whole time. But the creativity and the just the competitiveness with these acrobatic saves, like you probably don't want to be in a position to have to make an acrobatic save, but man, I mean, people must send that to you or show you photos. How many of those images have you signed? Because I've seen that photo. I think Gabrick's had to sign a few too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool when you make saves like that. Obviously you play the game to try to make it look easy, but sometimes you gotta get out of your comfort zone and go out and throw something at the puck. And I played against a guy that probably had the most crazy save in Dominic Hasek. And it's one of those things that you know what you play the game. And there's not one way of playing the game. I think as a goalie, if you think there's only one way to be able to stop a puck, you're going to be in trouble because players are good. They're going to figure it out. And I think one of the best thing that somebody ever told me. I was my second year. Uh, I was still in junior. My second training camp, I came in, and I was taking breakaways in training camp, and we had lunch after. And Brandon Shanahan came over to me. He said. He goes, I took like five breakaways and he stopped them five different ways. And that's kind of one thing that when he said that to me, like I took it to heart. I'm like, when the guy comes down the wing, why do I need to make a butterfly save or a stand up or, whatever save? Like, so I was trying to put as many possible ways of the same shot, stopping it differently. And so you keep the shooter guessing. And that's kind of something that I worked on all my career is like not be predictable as a goalie. That's why I'm not a big fan of the reverse VH and guys are going down. And I mean, last night you get the two best goalies in the league got scored from behind the net, Vasilevsky and Sorokin. I mean, they're top goalies right now, and it's to me it's nuts.
Marty, I'm glad you said that because I always talk about, and if you want to join me in my TED talk, we'll talk about the reverse VH and how it's overused because I could talk for 2 hours about that. But I'm glad you brought all that up because I do agree with you that the unpredictability, I think, throws a shooter off and they're not exactly sure what you're going to do. And I think part of what we were talking about with today's goalies is that I think when things are structured and it makes sense to them, they're really good. But to Bry's point about being robotic, when things break down and you have to improvise or creative or, things that you and Dominic Hasek you find ways to make saves. And I find goalies today I don't know if they're overcoached or overinstructed, but they have a hard time being creative and just improvising, just stopping the puck because, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Now I have to go do something different and react. And they struggle with that a little bit. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's kind of a lost art of it. I get you have to play with structure, but when you can just uncork a save that no one's expecting or make a save that people don't think you can make, I think it adds value to you as a goalie.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think when you go out and it makes it more fun too. You go out there and you're
Yeah.
making those saves. You kind of get out of your element a little bit. But a lot of it, these goalies these days, they're they're product of their environment, and so if the environment changes around them, they have a hard time adjusting. And every time I talk to goalies, or I was talking to the Joel Ofer in St. Louis, and he was a good
Well, I
kid.
like. I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good goalie, big kid, really athletic. But I always tell him, even with our goalies, I'm like, don't worry about your environment as much as worry about you. The environment will change in front of you. And after that, like you could adjust to that environment. But if you worry about your environment, that's a problem because now you're always in between. You're always like thinking about, okay, is he gonna pass? Is he gonna shoot? Is my defenseman gonna get in the way? Like these are all things as a goalie you can't control. So if you're able to kind of put that out and really not worry about your environment and concentrate on what you're going to do, you're going to be ahead of the game.
Who is your favorite goalie partner?
I had a lot.
You did have a lot, a lot of BC Eagles too.
Actually, for pure entertainment, it was Wixie.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah. There's
He
a
was
reason he
doing
talks for a
the
living.
job that he's doing now. He was doing it right beside me.
yeah. He's getting his reps in. That was his internship.
And Marty Bry's being a little he's been a little modest here, but I don't know if you realize that he scored his first career goal against you back in what, 07, 08, Bry?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got many of those.
I believe it. You played a million games. That was actually a funny story, though. I was playing for the Kings, and Mark Crawford was the coach. Our minor league team was in New Hampshire, and I got a call from Ron Hextall, who was the minor league GM. And he called me in the morning. The game, it was probably 11 a.m. The game was at night at the Rock in Jersey. And it got to the point where he couldn't get me down there, and he asked me if I could get my dad to give me a drive down to the rink. Anyways, we got a car service. The guy got lost. The first TV timeout is when I got to go on the ice, and you guys just put us in a blender. We lost 6-3, but I had my guy. I guess I got a crossbody one time where I didn't even think. I just whacked it, and it was kind of a hope pass from Jeff Giuliano. So I get that claim to fame. But if it wasn't shit luck, I think you would have had me.
Oh, that's great.
It's
It's funny. Like I hear a lot of stories with guys. Oh, I scored my first goal. I'm like, there's too many for me to remember his first goal. Every time there's a new guy, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble.
I wanted to ask 2003 because I've talked to Rupper about this a lot, and JS Giguere obviously had a great series, but how many shutouts did you have in that final round?
Um, Three, and I lost.
I think he got hosed a little bit.
And I lost 1-0 in overtime.
Yeah, like
Jeez. So
come
yeah,
on.
should have been four essentially.
Yeah. So yeah,
No, no, not to
we had a
discredit
good.
him at all,
Yeah,
but
no,
you
no,
won
no.
the
You,
thing.
you know what? He was the reason why they made it so far. It's all good. At the end of the day, it's the big prize that really
Right.
counts. But yeah, no, it was a good run. I think I had like 7 shutouts in that playoff run, and I think I had like 7 or 8 points.
I've gone to the Cup Finals twice, and I think the most points I ever got in the playoffs was 8. So that makes me feel great.
No, speaking of Marty, just transitioning to today, you're obviously with the Devils in the front office. I wanted to ask you, I mean, when you retired, you had pretty much done everything you could as a player, but I wasn't surprised that you got into management, just the way you thought about the game and how competitive you are. What was one thing when you got into management that was way harder than you thought it would be when you played? And then maybe something that came naturally to you or was a little bit, you said, oh, this isn't too hard, but like, how was that transition for you? What was something that was actually way harder than you realized than when you were a player?
I think the travel. I think well, obviously, like everybody that's retired, it's like, what am I going to do today? Because for me, for 22 years, I had an itinerary in front of my face and knew exactly what my day was going to look like. So obviously, the retired part kind of you kind of make your own schedule. But I was lucky enough, like I was with the Blues, and right away Doug Armstrong asked me, he goes, "Can you can shadow me for the rest of the year?" I retired like probably in January or February, and he goes, "See if you like the management part of it." And so that really helped me to kind of get my feet wet into management. But I think the travel, when you're management, like when you have to go see kids, like in North Dakota, you got to go to tournaments in Europe and you're traveling by yourself. You got to make your own arrangements. Uh, that was probably like the eye opening for me. It was like, oh, okay, that's a lot. I could just be in Florida and playing golf, but I just love the challenge. I think one of the most fun part as like a part of the management group, it's the amateur side. Like when you get to draft kids, you get to meet their parents, you get to meet the kid. And after that, he comes into training camp, he comes into your minor leagues, he plays his first NHL game. These are all like, it's so like, you kind of put a lot of value that you help somebody achieve their dream. And like I said, like I'm working, I hope I'm going to be able to be part of a Stanley Cup team on the management side because I think that would be the ultimate for me to be able to do it as a player and help out as a manager to kind of make these people live their dreams because I was fortunate enough to do it while I was playing.
Obviously, a lot has changed. It changes, it seems, every few years in terms of like youth development and the kids are, and I'm going through it now with my son and just trying to bring some sense and sensibility back to youth sports as best I can. I know I'm not going to win the battle, but I'm going to try to bring these kids back to realizing what is actually important in terms of playing hockey and getting better. The parents have lost the plot on a lot of occasions, but your experience in youth hockey, I'd just love to know briefly what got you started, what made you fall in love with the game, when did you become a goalie, and just sort of how you carved out your path to being arguably the greatest goalie of all time.
Well, it's like obviously being from Montreal, it's kind of second nature to skate and play hockey. I started as a forward. Like anybody, you had to learn to skate before you become a goalie to a certain extent. And the love of the game, like I loved it so much. There's a team that had an injured goalie, and they asked me. He goes, "Well, because my dad used to be a goalie," and he goes, "Well, would you like to play goalie?" I said, "I've never played goalie in my life." And when I told my dad, like my dad's eyes went wide open. He goes, "No, you're gonna try it. You're gonna love it. It's great." And so I for a year I played forward and goalie, two different teams. So I played a lot of hockey. And the following year at training camp, my dad dropped me by myself at the rink. I was 8 years old, and the coach goes, "What do you want to do this year? Do you want to be the goalie or you want to play forward?" And I'm like, I looked around, there was nobody there. I'm like, "I'll be a goalie," and that changed, the path of my my life actually. But there was some tough years. I think it was probably around 16 or 15 U in Bantam. I didn't make the top team, the double A team. We didn't have triple A back when I played. And I didn't play much and I kind of quit for like a full week. I didn't show up at practice. And my big brother that now has passed away grabbed me by the shoulder. He goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Well, I'm not playing. I'm not even playing on a top team. Like, I don't feel like playing." He goes, "No, no, no, no. You're gonna get back there." And my brother is like 6'3", like 275 pounds, a big boy. So when he's talked to me, I kind of listen. My dad is a little small guy, so it didn't really matter. But my brother, like, I was scared of him, and so he brought me back. And then so these are things as far as minor hockey. It's like your support ecosystem around you is so important for you to be successful. You need really to have good people around you to kind of guide you the right way when you go off the rails a little bit. I'm going through this. Like it's funny. Like when I played, all I have four boys and a daughter. If I don't say, she's gonna be mad. Uh, but like they all played hockey, but I didn't really see because my three older ones because I was still playing. So I never really saw like what it takes at that youth level. But now that I'm retired, I don't miss one weekend. Like I live in St. Louis, I work in New Jersey. I go back like on Friday, I'm on a plane to go to Chicago because it's the playoffs or max. And I mean, I see it every day. It's so much fun, but again, it's intense. You go to these tournaments or just league games, all people are. The fun of the game is a lot different. Uh, but I was growing up. I was fortunate. Like my dad was really supportive and didn't care if I played well or not. He just wanted me to have fun, and I'm trying to do that with my kids. Or well, my kid now, the other ones I didn't really see. I still got one playing, but Max is having fun. He's a big boy, 6'3". We'll see what happens in the future, but it's um it's a lot different than it used to be, that's for sure.
Hey, Marty, going off of what you guys are saying about just kids and youth sports, because on One Time All Stars, we love to try to like educate and help out the kids who are playing hockey as well as the parents. So, funny story, back in 2021, I have a buddy who's a huge Rangers fan, and he sends me a video right before we're about to have our first kid. It pops up and it's you. It's a congratulations on your first child video, and you gave two pieces of advice. One was the kids grow up fast, so enjoy the time. And the other was they eventually start to talk back, so just be ready for that. So that kid is now 5 years old, and a little update is that definitely time does go by fast, and he's actually starting hockey. As a parent, what advice would you give to them who's just starting this and wants their kid to have the best time possible? And also, too, what would you say to the kid, or at least what could a parent say to the kid in this case?
Well, for me, I think it's great. I really feel that, it's having fun with the game. But when they start getting a bit older, I think a lot of kids want to have fun on the ice, and ice is to a premium these days. So that 1 hour, like I always say to the kid, like make the best of your hour that you can. Like, I'm sitting there sometimes and I'm watching Max practice and he's spending 10 minutes just messing around with his buddies. I mean, there's 10 more minutes for you to get better because you're not going to get better at playing a hockey game. Hockey game, you react, you do all your stuff. Where there's a lot of value in hockey, it's when you practice. And so make the best of your time on the ice. I know 5 years old is probably a bit too young to talk about that, but when they start growing up a little bit and they want to be successful, they want to have fun with it. It's fun. It's okay to have fun, but I think like that 1 hour that you're on the ice with, like make the best out of it. And I think that's probably one of the best advice I could give any young kid that wants to make it is like make the best out of the time that you have because there's not much time.
Yeah, our mantra, Matt, was especially when the kids were young, 5, 6, 7. It's like you want your kid to love the game. If as a dad that played and wants to go to the rink and see my kids play, I'll let them play whatever they want. If they hate hockey and they want to do something else, like we'll do something else, whatever. It's their path. But if they tell me they want to go to the rink, my job as a parent is to cultivate sort of them wanting to get to the rink, like asking to go to the rink, and then when we're at the rink, hating to leave the rink. And if you can do those two things or cultivate that and encourage that, I think you're successful because, Marty's right. It's hard, and you want to go to the rink when you have practice and kind of dial in and get better because you're playing to win now when you're a squirt and a peewee and a bantam and all that. But you still want to burn to get to the rink, like, and hate leaving the rink. My kid now is, I don't know where he gets it. Schneider might know, but it's like 40 minutes after a practice and he's still not out of the locker room.
Oh,
And it's him and two kids. And I'm like, what are you doing? And my wife will be like, you were the same way. So I think like
After men's league, bro, you don't leave for an hour.
an hour's being nice,
but
like
you know what? You guys are probably have
success.
younger kids, but Max is 16 and we're in Missouri. He's allowed to drive. No, we don't care how long he stays in the locker room because we're out of there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's great though. I mean, I feel like that's success as a parent. The kid loves it. He's got buddies. He's getting better, and he hates leaving the rink. He loves
Yeah.
getting there, and he hates leaving.
It's the team aspect too, for these kids, like to relate to their friends. Like we all, obviously, like I have my kid on Live 360, and I watch him after practice to make sure he doesn't drive too fast or whatever. And next thing you know, he stopped for like 15 minutes at the gas station. And so I give him a call, like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, we're all here. We're just having a burger at the gas station. I'm like, just get home. You got school tomorrow. But just the fact that it's a team, they want to hang together. That's the beauty of it because when it's over, it's over. Like, you're so used to hang out with teammates and stuff like that. We're lucky enough that we're in the game that we have an opportunity to be with hockey players or ex-hockey players or, family around. But when you're done playing the game, that's what I tell my kids, like when you're done after, if you don't want to make it pro, that team aspect is really hard to get somewhere else. So cherish it when you can.
Yeah, that's great advice. And Marty, I was telling the guys this the other day, but after Schneider and Boyles were saying, just get him on the ice, get him playing and stuff like that. The day that we got our hockey equipment in the mail, I've never seen this kid more excited to get something. Like it was more excitement than Christmas morning. So just seeing that. So thank you guys for doing that. And also too, all three of you guys, great advice.
Marty, I don't know about you, but like even when I was older, getting a new set of gear was still like Christmas Day. Like when a new set of pads or gloves would come in, I'd be like, "Oh, this is the best feeling ever." It's like maybe that's why I became a goalie too, because my brother was a skater, and I was like, I don't want his hand-me-downs. I want the fresh goalie gear because it feels pretty good. That actually leads me to another question. I know throughout your career, you've played a long time, and you played longer than most goalies when they stopped making your stuff. So I know at one point you switched. You were Sherwood for a long time, right? And then you went into the Vaughns. Was that like tough for you? Because I found as an older goalie, adjusting to some of the new stuff was hard for me because I was so used and comfortable with what I had. I know you famously wore a chest protector forever because you didn't want to get out of it. But was that harder as you got later in your career to adjust to all the new technology and the new things that they had?
A little bit, I think, especially with the Vaughn, like it became like more like normal pads, like everybody used to wear, like the blocks, on the knees. I didn't have them until I got Vons, yeah. And that was late in my career. But I was getting mad when I thought we scored a goal on the other side and the goalie's stick is up in the air and we shot 5-0 and the puck didn't go in. I go, maybe I should be using those pads too. So, but yeah, equipment the technology is so good. It's amazing how these guys now they use brand new pads. Like I used to, practice with them before I used them in games, and now these guys, like I just saw Marky uses Sweden stuff the other day. One practice and he's gonna go to the Olympics with them. It's crazy. Gloves are the same, just but again, going back, like there's no better feeling to get the big box in your trainer's room and you just open it up as quick as you can and see your new gear.
Oh, best feeling ever. Sorry, I know we're running out of time here. I just had one more for you because where we are, we interact with fans. They'll come up and talk to you and vent to you. And I don't need you sharing state secrets or anything, but it's funny when fans sort of treat it like fantasy hockey. Like, well, why don't they just do this? And why don't they do that? And why don't they just trade this guy? But, being on the management side now, like, how difficult is it to actually consummate either a trade or a signing or a player movement? It seems like it's not as easy as everyone thinks. I just didn't know if you could give any insight for fans, at least who listen, about how difficult it really is to pull off a transaction of any kind.
Yeah, I mean it's a challenge at times, especially in season. I think when you're in off season, you have a little more time, and there's no performance based kind of decision you're making. It's like for the future. Obviously contracts like you bring in guys, to New Jersey, and so, they're free agents. You give them a lot of protection because if not, they're going to get the protection somewhere else. So yeah, you have to kind of make some decision at times, and times run out on certain players, and now you got to make decision, and sometimes your hands are kind of tied a little bit. Salary cap is a big issue, not just yours, but every single team has issues with it too. I think it's going to start to get easier soon when the cap is going to go up. A lot of teams won't play to the top of the cap, and I think it'd be a lot easier to start moving players around. But right now, it's until probably the next 2 3 years, it's going to be hard to make transactions just for the sake of making transaction. And again, you invest in players, you believe in players, that's why you're bringing them in. And performance, that's what we do. You play hockey to win. We sign them because we believe in them, and you're going to give them as much leeway as possible. And after that, you got to make a move. But like you said, it's not easy just to say it's not fantasy hockey. You just don't press a button and say, "All right, this is going to happen." Like there's a lot more into it. That's for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's good stuff.
It's fascinating to me. I wonder, and hopefully, Marty, you're right, because some teams might not. I wonder how these things are going to be structured. Maybe a lot of front-loading things because cash to some of these teams matter. That's the other part people don't remember. It's just the actual dollars. Some teams, it's not just the cap hit, right? It's the actual dollar amount. What are they willing to take in terms of how much do you want to pay that player going out? It's still a business, right? Like these owners want to make money.
It's funny how like this year, we were talking about this, like the trade deadline is it's 6 games after we come back or from the Olympics or something like that. And so like I really thought there would be a lot of trades be made because you want to get rid of money for the 2 weeks that guys are not playing hockey. You still got to pay their full salary sitting doing so. Might as well trade him now. Like what kind of value in picks? So there's so many things that general managers they have to deal with that people really don't understand either, or have a hard time understanding. Not saying they don't understand.
No, it's interesting. It's all stuff that as a player you kind of not that it goes over your head, but you're just not thinking about it as much because you're so focused on what you're doing in the day to day. So we appreciate that insight. Again, it's not as easy as everyone thinks, but and I meant to say, Marty, we were talking about kids like Jeremy. Did I see Jeremy was an East Coast League All Star? Did he get named to the All Star game?
Yeah, he was by default. So somebody got
Oh.
called up in the AHL, but still,
Hey, two greatest words in the English
I never
language
give him
are
credit.
default.
So
Oh, but that's great, man. Because I played with Jeremy in a couple training camps, and I've seen him around. So it's that must be exciting too, as the dad to see him get that honor. So that's good stuff.
yeah,
And then
he's having fun. It's fun to watch. It keeps my my weekends busy with watching Utica, Adirondack, and the Devils when I'm in St. Louis and Max.
Yeah.
A lot of hockey.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is you sound so busy. Like you said, you could be playing golf in Florida. And I remember when we played, you were a stick. What's your cap at these days? Are you still in the low singles, or are you still trying to float it upward?
It's you know what when you play hockey, you're so used to do anything like physically. Now I suck at golf. Sorry to say that. I'm like a 6 handicap, so it's not
Oh,
good. I
man.
used to be a 3, so
I used
Marty,
to be a
so
3.5. I'm a 9.5 now, and it's the most infuriating. My dad's like, "You're gonna get so good at golf when you're done
yeah.
playing."
My member gets coming up in Florida, so I can't wait to go.
Get that cap up higher for the member guest, Marty.
that's right.
It's hard to do in this weather, that's for
I
sure.
know.
Well, that's awesome, Marty. We really appreciate you joining us. There's so much insight you can give. We could talk for another 2 hours if you had the time. But we're one-time All-Stars because Brian and I both made one All-Star game. We keep having these guests on who have many more All-Star game appearances than we do. So
Mine was by default too, so I respect it.
two greatest words in the English language, Brian, are default. So, but thank you so much, Marty. Good luck the rest of the way here. Have fun with the Olympics, watching from afar, and we'll hopefully we'll have you on again or see you going forward.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
All right, Bryce. So that was awesome talking to Marty. I know you played against him a lot, especially when we were with the Rangers, gotten some of those rivalry games. For me, I got to be his teammate for a year. And, as a young goalie coming in the league, it was honestly, I had posters of Patty Waugh, Marty Brodeur, Roberto Luongo. They were all on my wall as a kid. And then I got to start my career. And some people were like, oh, you got stuck behind Roberto, then you had to go sit behind Marty. But you know what? Like, as you mentioned, everyone has their own path and you can't control that. And for me, I just try to soak everything I could from both those guys, now Hall of Famers. Like you said, the technique, the all that stuff is one thing, but just sitting and watching those guys, and especially Marty, because he was so unique and so different than how I played, it was kind of like, oh, well, what can I learn from him? What can I do or pick up that he's been doing for 20 years? So it was fun to hear him talk, because when you're teammates, you don't really always talk about this kind of stuff. You're focused on the game. You got to let guys do their thing, and you're not trying to bother them too much. But now, in hindsight and retrospect, just hearing his insight and how he sort of views the game and thinks about how goaltending works, for me, it was kind of like going back 10, 12 years and being in a locker room next to him. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, a couple things. You scoundrel, because now I'm getting more, I don't know. My dad was a goalie, but I get more and more invented the butterfly.
That's right.
More and more involved in that part of it. And maybe it's just because that's such a mentally demanding position and I'm coaching youth. And I just think the mental part of the game is such a critical thing. So I ask goalies, especially successful ones, and that pressure you put on yourself and how you can adjust different. I'm starting to get more involved with goaltending than I want to be, and it's your fault. The other part is like what was so cool about playing in that time frame. You had Marty and you had Hank, and Hank had been in New York for a while and had some runway, and Marty obviously had been in Jersey forever. And you had that rivalry between the Devils and Rangers, but it was almost like Hank versus Marty, Marty
Right.
versus Hank.
It was like marquee.
And the crowds, you go to MSG and they're yelling at Marty, and then you go to The Rock and they're yelling at Hank. And I don't know, I just think that that's lost now a little bit. That's that one guy versus that one guy. It's like epic quarterbacks playing against each other in football. And trends happen. It happened in the past. It might have gone away a little bit. Now we had that. I got to play in those environments, and then it might go away a little bit, but maybe it's how goalies are platooned. Maybe it's just how it is right now. But that was such a cool time to play in the league and be a part of that. Just witnessing it, watching it, listening to the crowd. It was so much fun. And you played in like rivalry games. You played in big games. I mean, that was 6 times a year. It felt like back then, which was unbelievable.
Boyle, that was cool. You got a chance to talk about your first goal, which was against Marty with him. Had you done that before? Was that your first time, or
Talking to him
about your first goal?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it was it's like a cool feather in my cap because of what my career was compared to his is just like I don't know. I feel it was awkward for me to even bring it up because I'm like, I slipped one by you there. Um, we played against him a lot, and if I never scored against him, that would be a bigger story. I didn't score a ton of goals, but it was a little awkward just because
I had
he's
stories
taking the
about that.
time to join us. I'm not trying to like,
That's what
and
we're
there's
here for.
nothing I could
Correct.
say to him that diminishes anything that he's ever done.
Yeah, and then Schneider's for you too. It's like he's passing the torch over to you when you were playing with the Devils. So for you, just kind of recapping this in your own mind, I'm sure that was probably pretty cool to chop it up for a half an hour or so with them.
Yeah, it was great. And I've gotten to know Marty since he retired and he came back to the Devils organization. So he's been around and again, it wasn't that we weren't like buddies, but it was just we were at different places in our lives. He was 42, winding down the greatest goaltending career of all time, and I was 27, trying to become a starting goalie, and I just gotten traded there. And we were just sort of in different eras of our lives and careers. But I think part of what made him so great was that he wasn't giving me an inch. Like he was there to play. He wasn't ceding the net. He wasn't like, okay, kid, it's your turn. He's like, I'm still playing and I want to play. And I think that mindset and that competitiveness is what made him so good. It made me better too, because nothing was given to me. I had to go outplay the legendary Marty Brodeur in order to play. And he took that as a challenge, even at 42 years old. So I think he taught me a lot in terms of that mindset without, don't be arrogant, but just have supreme confidence in what you're doing. And Brian, you mentioned how mental the game is, and then especially goaltending. And I think that mindset for him is what made him so good because we talked about it. I'd rather see 35, 40 shots a night and feel good about myself rather than seeing 18 or 20, which is what he dealt with a lot. And I almost think that's harder to see 18 shots and then have a breakaway in the third period in a 1-1 game. And now you got to come up with a save. So he was really, really good at that. And people sort of knock him. I think he gets underrated in terms of his volume and workload at times, but he only saw 18, 20 shots a night sometimes. Like, yeah, it's really hard to stop 19 or 18 of those and not give up 4 or 5.
Like we didn't even ask him, but they made a rule change
Yeah, exactly.
because of how well he plays the puck. They
Yeah.
put the trapezoid in because they're like, well, we got to Marty proof this position. It's like, because I'm good at it, and that's how good he was. It was incredible. Corey, I have a question for you, actually.
Real quick, you talked about how they spent no time in there. And it's like, yeah, because you were snapping out of the zone every time he got in there. Like, it was because of you, man. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're the best first pass D man in the league, and you're a goalie.
Yeah.
It was incredible. How many goals did I get against you?
At least two, one or two. You got one of me in Tampa. I remember it was like a rebound,
Yeah, I remember that.
and then there might have been a
Rebound.
second one in there
Oh, a
somewhere.
rebound. Yeah, that's two then. I got one from Victor making a pass across her whole
Yes, in
team.
Tampa. I do remember that one. I was so mad about that one too because I was on it. I was all over it. And it like
I
stuck
actually
through me on
didn't. I didn't handle it that cleanly.
I
But I
know
didn't stick handle,
you didn't.
and then I beat you
That's a
short side,
disease.
I think.
You did, and I read it like I saw it coming, and I got there, and it still snuck in. I was like, I was
Did
so
you
mad.
think it was going to go to the slot? Or
Maybe.
were you
Yeah, well,
just
the way you
that
guys
Tampa
snapped it
ice
around in
doesn't?
Tampa, that's true.
The Tampa ice, you don't slide as fast.
A little bumpy. Um, I know. Yeah, so definitely two, and both in Tampa. I don't think you scored on me with the Rangers, but you weren't there for that long when I got traded to Jersey, so that was part of that.
Yeah, you tried to
Um,
get me one at MSG,
I
but
did try to talk about that, but right in your chest. Um, real quick, I just had a question for you because you brought up a good point that, and I sort of mentioned that heyday of goaltending where the
yeah,
same guy was in the net for 10 or 15 years, and goalies were kind of the marquees and personalities. You had Marty, you had Hank, the perfectly coiffed GQ guy, and you had
handsome.
Luongo, who was sort of the Italian. I don't mean to say it that way, but like he had a big presence and
Yeah,
personality.
Jean
Um,
Girard.
Jean Girard. So like you had these big names and big personalities that I think you're right was a draw. And when you guys played against the Devils, what was your game plan? Like, did you have a scouting report on Marty, or because he's so like it said, it's hard to scout him because as he
Yeah,
mentioned, he might make 5 different saves 5 different ways, and it's really hard to pre-plan for that.
I did. I noticed sort of those acrobatic saves. If you ever had a chance to have patience, and it was tough because you couldn't get really near the net. There was good
Yeah,
defense, but I remember having a puck at the rock in front of the net that I had to settle down, and I just for something came over me where I know he's going to flop a little bit and move, and if I can hold off one more, he's going to run out of those moves. He's going to be down, and I ended up having a nice finish up high. Then there was another one where the puck was bouncing, and it was basically like a 2-on-2. And I knew that he read the play so well, he wouldn't expect me to shoot a puck through the screen. It was kind of rolling, and I just thought to myself, in my role on the team, getting it behind these D, is the best play, even though I'm basically handing it to Marty. But if he doesn't read the play right, it might go in. And I shot one that actually bounced, and he was looking to get behind the net because he thought I was going to dump it in. I was like right at the blue line, probably in line with the dots, and it kind of bounced and went through his 5-hole because he didn't go down. And I'm like, I got made fun of a little bit at the bench when I got back, like, oh, don't hurt him with that, like
Skipped it in skipping stones.
muffin. But it was I thought about the play. I was like,
Yeah.
I think he's going to anticipate something. That's how much respect I had for him.
Yeah.
And then, you go 14, 15, 17 games without getting anything by him because he's just so locked in. But yeah, I did, but that was a personal thing. I'm not going to go to Gabrick
Sure.
and be like, hey, do the unexpected thing, because you can't, especially during the regular season.
Right.
You don't want to switch things up because that can kind of disrupt chemistry and be like, just play our game, because in the playoffs it's different. And we tried to do things in the playoffs. We just couldn't get anywhere near the net. He was so good at playing it. I don't know what his stats were in 2012, but he was a huge reason they did what they did and got to the Cup final.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, it was a lot of fun having him on, picking his brain, just sort of, I like talking to the great players because they think differently than even us mere mortals who played the game do. So it's always interesting to get their perspective. So we really appreciate Marty coming on. And, Bri, like I said, I know he had some tough times against him, but he did get the first one, and that's the important one. So he was a good sport about that.
Yeah, gold medals, Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
It's nice when he was a good sport about it.
Brian,
I also felt very awkward.
Yes. I love making you feel awkward. Anyways, all right. Well, that was good stuff. And hopefully everyone out there enjoyed listening to it.